here to talk about shame, that dreadful feeling of putting ourselves down, being put down, and the many ways that we prevent ourselves from feeling the shame that has become internalized in us, and how to heal that shame. So today I would like to talk about shaming children. This goes on all the time without being seen. I spoke yesterday about how women shame men and we don't see it. It's even more pronounced with how people shame children. A 3-year-old can be told, stop running, in that tone, instead of a firm, stop running. John, stop. Information like that doesn't put the child down, it just alerts them that there's a boundary that's being crossed. So one example of this that I wrote about in the book, Shedding Shame and Claiming Freedom, was when I was walking into a health food store that had an odd door arrangement that was a window, and the 2 little children came dashing through the door, banged into my basket, and then started running into the store. And the mother is walking in behind them, exasperated, which is a shaming attitude towards people. Like, oh, right? It's shaming. It's doing nothing about the situation. And then she says to me and to the other 2 or 3 people that could hear, she said, they're just accidents waiting to happen. And the prescription in our culture is that we're to laugh at that, which the other people did, They're kind of joining in, yeah, that's the way kids are, accidents waiting to happen. But that's putting them down because it's not honoring that children that are 2, 3, and 4 don't have the judgment yet. Their brains are not, even very intelligent children, their brains are not developed well enough yet to assess that if they come running through the door and trip on the rug there and crash into my cart, that's not appropriate. They don't know that. They can't assess that. So the communication that was coming from that mother is, there's something seriously wrong with you, and I'm helpless to try to help you learn to not do it that way. I am left with just a helpless victim sense of, you're just an accident waiting to happen. So think about how you would feel now as an adult if someone spoke to you that way. If you got a little too feisty, let's say that you knocked something off the counter and it broke. And if you had been moving more calmly, it wouldn't have happened. Well, it's an accident. We have accidents, and you clean it up. But what if somebody in the room said, you are an accident waiting to happen, in a tone that said that not only had you done something wrong, but there's something seriously wrong with you, right? You are an accident waiting to happen. That's about who you are. So guilt is an appropriate feeling if you've done something and you feel badly for having done it. But if you feel badly for having done something because you feel like there's something wrong with you, that is shame. And that is a far more difficult feeling to process. And this is an example of where a mother was communicating this to her child, and the child was internalizing it because, of course, this was not the only time. These little children hear over and over and over, there is something so wrong with you for behaving the way you're behaving. Now, this doesn't mean, of course, that the children should not have done what they did, but they weren't young enough to figure that out, and the mother's job, really, was restraining them. When you're walking towards a store, and she already knew what the store was like because she'd been there before, then you hold on to their hands. Or you caution them. You say, Jimmy, stay here with me. Stay here with me, honey. There's people in there, and I don't want you to crash into them. boundaries, you get to teach the children that they need to have boundaries away from other people, and that you will be responsible for educating them about that and then helping them do it. Because that's not shaming them. It's knowing that little children are limited. They're not small adults. They're little beings who need you to step in and control them. So if the mother had walked into the store without making that comment and grabbed their hands and said, please stay right with me so that you don't bang into anybody again, then she's communicating to them that it wasn't good that they banged into me, but she wouldn't be scolding them. She wouldn't be punishing them for it. She would be just informing them what was going on. And then they would grow up with the understanding that boundaries are really appropriate, watching out for people. And when they become old enough where they can assess for themselves, then they get to be pleased that they can. And she gets to tell them that. Let's say when they're 8, if the same thing happened when they were 7 and 9 and they're walking in the door, then they would see me, they would see the weird rug, they would open the glass door, and they would walk around. And at a younger age, she could even say, oh, I like the way you figured out how to walk around that woman in this weird situation. She could affirm that they were now able to perceive. And of course, not having shamed them or controlled them when they couldn't perceive. So what you might start out doing now is taking a look at how adults shame children. Again, this is a matter of our neural pathways. This is something that people have done so much that it's hard to see it until you start looking at it. So you might go to a Starbucks or a playground, places where parents are with children, and just start paying attention to the mother's tone. What mothers are saying, don't go up there, that is dangerous. Or the mother gets up and goes to the child and explains, this is not safe for you. When you get older, you can do this, but not now. Come on down, let's go play on something else. Let's go play somewhere else. Instead of holding the child responsible because you've told him or her for the 4th time, don't play there. You get my tone? It's not a boundary. It's putting the child down for bothering you. So that's another good example. And the example that I encounter now is with my dog. He's a little black Pomeranian, and he likes to play certain dog games with me where he will come over, he wants me to lift him up. He can't jump up and down, he has a back issue. So he wants me to lift him up on the couch next to me. But he stands too far away where I can't reach him. I'd have to get up to get him. And of course, he's just playing a dog game and he's giving me this look. And then eventually, maybe 20 seconds, 30 seconds later, he comes over close enough for me to pick him up. And I was told that letting him do this isn't good for him, because then he wants to be the alpha in the pack, but he's not comfortable with that, and he needs me to be the alpha. So I had to develop skills that are not natural to me, which include scolding him. I'm still uncomfortable with it, as you can see. I feel a little shame about scolding my dog, especially if somebody hears me. So he's here right now, so I don't want to say it too loudly, but I've trained him when I say his name really firmly, and I say, come. Come. Didn't say his name, so he wouldn't know. And he actually appreciates it. He used to hide under the living room coffee table and make me have to drag him out, or under the dining room table, same thing, holding the chairs aside, having to drag him out. Well, now he doesn't like me being upset with him and ordering him. Actually, he does like it. It's just the opposite. And then he immediately comes out. And now when he's under the coffee table, which he doesn't do anymore actually, but when he was, I would speak to him that way firmly. And then he would go out from under the coffee table over to the couch. He would lean in against the couch and look up at me and wait for me to come over and pick him up. He didn't hide from me anymore. And I got that he appreciated knowing what the boundaries were. And I didn't scold him. There's maybe 4 times since I've had him for 3 years as an adult that I told him that he's a bad dog. And then I'm shaming him. I'm really scolding him for what he did. And he does not like that at all. He loves being told that he's a good dog. So I've been noticing as I've been doing this, the parallel with children. That instead of using a shaming tone, like, you stupid dog, what are you doing under there? That's what we do to children. Why are you under the table where I can't reach you? Instead, I just say to him, R, come. And then he comes. And he's happy, according to dog people. He's happier that I'm willing to be the alpha dog. Makes him feel safe and secure. Okay, see what you and your friends can learn by going together to places, noticing parents shaming their children. Now I'm curious to hear what you have to say. I would really appreciate a comment about a time that you felt shamed as a child. Feel free to share this video with your friends, family, or someone you know who is struggling with shame. Please like and subscribe for more videos. I look forward to speaking with all of you next week.